Sins of the heart, Ya Allah, save me from the sins of the heart. Ya Allah, save me from the sins of the heart.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen. Amma ba'd, fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Rasulallah wa ala ahlika wa ashabika ya Habiballah. As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Nabiyallah wa ala ahlika wa ashabika ya Nurallah. Welcome back, my dear viewers of Madani Channel, to this program, Sins of the Heart, in which we discuss many internal sins which affect us, our daily lives. Inshallah, in today's episode, we'll discuss about having love, hubbul dunya, having love for the world. First, let's understand what do we mean by loving the world. When we say that loving the world is not good for you, it is that worldly love which damages your afterlife. And this is one sort of love which is condemned and is warned against. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions in Surah Al-Hadid, verse 20, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, translation from Kanzul Iman, know that life of this world is nothing but play and pastime, an adornment and boasting amongst yourself, and the desire to surpass each other in wealth and children. Like the rain that produces, of which pleased the farmer, and then dried so you see it yellow, and then turn into dry trampled hay. And in the hereafter is a severe punishment and the forgiveness from Allah and His pleasure. And the life of this world is nothing but counterfeit wealth. The Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam in a hadith, he's warned us against having love of this world. The Prophet sallallahu ta'ala wasallam has said, 6 things ruin good deeds. The first, always investigating other people's faults. So always trying to find faults in people. This is something which will destroy your good deeds. Number 2, having hard-heartedness, being stubborn, not having that remorse for people. Number 3, love of this dunya, love of this world will ruin your good deeds. Number 4, having lack of shame. Number 5, long expectations, having long desires, having goals and desires that you don't know whether they'll happen or not. Why? Because we don't know whether we'll be alive for that or not. Number 6, excessive cruelty. Always being cruel to people. Always being harsh to people. This is an attribute, this is a trait which will ruin your good deeds. And from this category of 6, one of this was having love for this dunya. Sayyidina Jarir, rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, he reports from Sayyidina Layth, rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, that once, whilst on a journey, Sayyidina Isa ala nabiyina wa alayhi salatu wassalam met a man who requested, Your Majesty, please allow me to enjoy your blessed company. I wish to travel with you. So Isa alayhi salam, he accepted. So they both traveled together. On the way, as they approached a particular stone, he alayhi salam said, Come, let us eat here. So they both ate. He alayhi salam had 3 pieces of bread. Both ate 1 piece each. So he alayhi salam left the final piece of bread, because there was 3 pieces of bread. 1 he alayhi salam ate, 1 the partner who accompanied him in the journey ate, and 1 was remaining. So he alayhi salam, he left this final piece and went to drink some water from a nearby stream. When he returned, the 3rd piece of bread had disappeared. He alayhi salam asked the man, who took this third piece of bread? To which the man answered, I do not know. After which he alayhi salam said, come, let us continue on our journey. The man who was accompanying in this journey, he rose, he stood up, and he began to walk with he alayhi salam. On the way, they saw a deer standing with his two beautiful children. He alayhi salam called one of the deer's two children towards him. It complied, they listened to the Prophet alayhi salam. And he, Isa alayhi salam, slaughtered this deer and he cooked its meat, which they both ate. And then he alayhi salam gathered its bones in one place and pronounced, stand by the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he alayhi salam is showing his miracle, because one of the miracles of Isa alayhi salam was to resurrect the dead. Instantly, the young deer came back to life and returned to its mother. He alayhi salam said to his companion, O man, for the sake of the one who showed you this miracle through me, tell the truth. Who took the third piece of bread? He answered, I do not know. The Honorable Prophet alayhi salam continued his journey with his companion. Further ahead, they encountered a river. He alayhi salam held the man's hand and they both walked across the water. After which, he alayhi salam asked once more, for the sake of the one who showed you this miracle through me, tell the truth. Who took that third piece of bread? The man's response was the same, I do not know. They continued their journey and arrived at an inhabited desert. He alayhi salam instructed the man, sit down. After which he alayhi salam collected some sand and said, O sand, by the command of Allah, turn it into gold. Instantly it turned into gold. He alayhi salam split it into three parts and said, one part is for me, the second part is for you, and the third for whoever took that third piece of bread. As soon as the man heard this, he proclaimed, I hid that piece of bread. Sayyidina Isa ala nabina wa alayhi salatu wasalam, he instructed the man, you take all this gold. After which he alayhi salam left the man there and continued his journey alone. On acquiring so much gold, the man was elated. He was happy. He was over the moon. Soon after, two more men arrived at that isolated location and saw the lonely man with his large quantity of gold. They conspired a plan to murder him and steal the gold. When they approached him, he pleaded, do not kill me. We can split into this gold into equal shares. His newfound companions agreed. Then he suggested, look, one of us should visit the nearby market and buy something for us to eat. After our meal, we will split the gold between us. Subsequently, one of them went to the market, but before he returned to his two companions, a devilish conspiracy occurred to him. He decided to poison the food in order to murder his two companions and take all the gold for himself. So he poisoned the food before heading back to his partners. Little did he know that both his partners had also made a deviant plan to murder him on his return, after which they would split the gold between them. As soon as their third partner returned with the food, they both murdered him and then gladly ate the poisoned food. A short while later, the poison killed both of them, leaving the gold on its own. Sometime later, Isa alayhi salam passed by the same location and saw the gold alongside three dead bodies. After which he alayhi salam proclaimed, this world is an illusion, so avoid it, i.e., whoever is trapped in his greed will be ruined. From this story, my dear viewers of Madani Channel, we take many lessons. And that this man who had this opportunity to go on this blessed journey, embark on this journey with a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But because of his greed, because of the love he had for this dunya, this love He had the greed, he had it ruined him. Initially, he hid the bread. Why? Because he wanted that bread for himself. And then Isa alayhi salam, the Prophet of Allah, kept on asking him that who did this? Who ate the bread? Where has it gone? And he was persistent on saying, I do not know. And then when Isa alayhi salam said this piece of gold is for the one who took the bread, then he said, yes, I took the bread. Because this love for this dunya was blinded him. This love for this dunya overtook his mind. And then he got all the gold. And then the shaitan, the devil, he put whispers in all three men, which eventually led to their death. This is the harms of having love for this dunya. That you do not care about anyone else, but for yourself. You only care for the betterment of yourself. And the definition of dunya, it is mentioned in one of the books which is published by Maktatul Madina, that literally dunya means, the meaning of dunya is close. Hence, this world is called dunya because it is closer to humans than the afterlife, or because it is closer to human hearts due to its pleasure and desires. So dunya literally means close. And why is this world called dunya? Because this afterlife, this dunya, this world is closer to us than the afterlife. And the second reason that the scholars give is because this world is closer to our hearts. Why? Because of the pleasures and desires. And Sayyidina Allama Badruddin Aini rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, he wrote in Umdatul Qari, his commentary of Bukhari Sharif, that all creations before the afterlife is dunya. So everything which is created before the afterlife is dunya. Therefore, in this regard, gold, silver, and every necessary or unnecessary item which is purchasable, all materialistic items, all of them are the dunya. And this dunya has benefits if you take the good of it. But if you get in love and you forget your goals, then you will be blinded by the love of this world. And there are many harms as well. And this worldly assets, which we have, the materialistic items, they can be divided into three categories. The first one, worldly assets that are useful in the afterlife, the after death. Only two things fall under this category. That is knowledge and good deeds. But only good deeds that are sincere for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the first category, the first asset, the first category of the worldly matters which is admirable, which is recommended. That you have good deeds, which is for the sake of Allah, and you have knowledge. The second category is things that are only useful in this world and have no benefit in the afterlife. For example, the pleasure of sins, enjoying unnecessary lawful things like land, property, gold, silver, elegant clothes, delicious foods. This category of worldly items is disliked. Number 3, worldly items. Worldly items that help you to do good deeds, such as necessary food, clothes, etc. This category is also admirable, but if your intention with these is only to enjoy their immediate worldly benefits and pleasure, then this category of the world will be disliked. Worldly actions can be split into 3 categories. Some actions cannot possibly be imagined to be done for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For example, unlawful things like drinking alcohol, gambling. These are actions which cannot be done for the sake of Allah. Some acts can be done for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but also for humans, like contemplation and resisting desires. If you contemplate in order to become famous and respectable in the eyes of other humans, or if you resist your desires only to save money or maintain good health, then you have not done these acts for the sake of Allah. And number 3, some acts seem to be done for your nafs externally, but can actually be done to please Allah. For example, like eating and marrying. Marrying is a sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and eating is also a sunnah as well. What is the definition of a worldly person? So how do we know that we are a person who is a worldly person? If a person takes something from this world for the betterment of his afterlife, he will not be regarded as a worldly person. Rather, for him, this world will become a farm for his afterlife. On the other hand, if he takes something from this world for his personal desires and pleasure, then he is a worldly person. And in reality, there is nothing which is pleasurable in this world. Why? Because everything will finish. In actual fact, we humans refer to pain removers as pleasures. So something which will temporarily remove some sort of pain, we will find that as pleasure. For example, someone is going through stress. Someone is going through some difficult time, and what does he start having? Binge eating. He start binge eating. Food will be his pleasure. Why? Because food will remove that pain of stress. It will remove that temporary moment that whilst he's eating, he'll forget about the stress he has. Similarly, water is delicious because it quenches your thirst. Once your thirst is quenched, you no longer find it delicious. True pleasures only exist in heaven, because the residents of heaven will never experience any pain, and therefore will never need anything to alleviate pain. Subsequently, their pleasures will be genuine. For example, their enjoyment of foods and drinks will be genuine and not just to satisfy hunger or thirst. Sayyidina Ali Khawas rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi stated, "The world is the daughter of the cursed devil, and everyone who loves it is her husband." Sayyidina Fudail bin Iyad rahmatullahi ta'ala narrates that Sayyidina Abdullah bin Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma stated that on Judgment Day, an extremely ugly, old, blue-eyed woman whose teeth will be sticking out of her mouth will appear, and people will be asked, "Do you recognize her?" To which they will respond, "We seek the protection of Allah from recognizing her." Upon which they will be informed, "This is that world which you were proud of, broke relationships for, envied, and begrudged each other for." Then she, the ugly old world, will be thrown into hell, during which she will cry out, "O my Lord, where are my followers and admirers?" Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will answer, "Allahu Akbar, send them with her." The Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, he cautioned and he has said that this world is sweet and green. Whoever earns it by lawful means and spends where necessary, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward him and send him to heaven. On the opposite, whoever earns it by unlawful means and spends it improperly, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will sentence him to the house of disgrace, Darul Hawan. Allama Abdul Rauf Manawi alayhi rahmatullahi al-Kawi commentated on this hadith in Faidul Qadir. We learn that this world is not essentially evil because it is a farm for the afterlife. Therefore, if anyone obtains a worldly asset by permitted means, then this asset will benefit him in the hereafter. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. The Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam has said, "This world and everything inside it is cursed, except inviting towards goodness and prohibiting evil or remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." Allama Abdul Rauf Manawi alayhi rahmatullahi al-Kawi comments on this hadith in Faidul Qadir, even though these deeds inviting towards goodness, prohibiting evil, remembering Allah are carried out in this world, they are not considered worldly deeds. Rather, they are deeds of the afterlife and are means of reaching heaven's bounties. Hence, all deeds that are done to please Allah are excluded from this curse. So we should regularly invite people towards goodness. If we see someone doing wrong, we should bring them back to the right path. We should invite them towards goodness. In the month of Ramadan, we should tell people to fast. Outside of the month of Ramadan, we should encourage people to keep nafili fast, voluntarily fast, and always have this aim that inshallah today is a fresh day. I'm going to invite at least one person closer to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. Inshallah, some cures of how to cure ourselves if we have love for this dunya. Number one, this world is like a shadow. Hence, being deluded by a shadow is foolish. So why are you in love with this shadow? It's something which is temporary, which will finish. Number two, this world is like a dream. Hence, it is unwise to fall in love with a dream. Number three, this apparent world is like an ugly old woman, beautified with artificial allure. Therefore, anyone who chases it, despite understanding this ugly fact, will acquire nothing but regret and anguish. Bearing this deficiency in mind, you should never allow the artificial glamour of this world to creep into your heart. Number four, in this world, the man is like a traveler who rests in the shade of a tree for a short respite, after which he leaves it behind, continuing his journey. If your heart imagines this world to be the same, you will never fall in love with it. Number five, this world is like a snake, soft on the outside, but venomous on the inside. It is wise to endure everlasting pain in exchange for short-lived pleasure. Number six, just like a man walking in water cannot keep his feet dry, anyone who falls in love with this world cannot avoid calamities and adversities. Eventually, the termite of this worldly obsession will gradually and slowly eradicate the joy and sweetness of worship from his heart. Number seven, a lover of this world is like someone who tries to quench his thirst with seawater. The more he drinks, the thirstier he gets. Number eight, just as the ultimate outcome of delicious food is filth and dirt, similarly, the consequence of this glamorous world is a painful death. Number nine, this world deceives human beings and weakens their faiths. Number 10, obsession with this world will make you forget your afterlife. Number 11, this world is a guest house for travelers. Hence, in order to reside in it peacefully, you must consider yourself a traveler. If you believe this world to be your permanent residence and fall in love with it, then you will experience immense sorrow and suffering at the time of departing from it. My dear viewers of Madani Channel, these were a few cures that we should have in mind when we start falling in this trap of having love for this dunya. And my dear viewers of Madani Channel, to the episode we learned the harms, how having love for this dunya will harm us not in this world and the hereafter. We learned that how this dunya is given an example of being like the daughter of the devil. And a son who has love for this daughter is like the husband. That's why this devil wants to come and always wants to come and see us and visit us. Why? Because he wants to see his daughter. So my dear viewers of Madani Channel, after listening to today's episode, we should make some intentions that we will try our best to not get blinded and not fall in love and get into this trap of this world. And if we do get something of this world, we should take this as a good and try to use it in the best way possible, which will benefit us in this life and the hereafter, and make this what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants us the ability to be safe and remove the bad love of this dunya from our hearts. Ameen bi jahi nabil ameen. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam.
Sins of the heart, Ya Allah, save me from the sins of the heart. Ya Allah, save me from the sins of the heart.